Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts who take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. Also, our audio is covered by the SeaTac Repeaters Association's WW7STR repeater 147.08 for our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That'll take you to our homepage. There you'll see the frequencies we operate on and a little bit of information about our club. Also, once you're on our homepage, there's a link for streaming on YouTube for our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So for now, I'll take a break in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Hearing none, so we'll get our net underway. So far, checked in via video links are Jessica, KF7UHK, Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM. Is there anybody else that'd like to join the net this evening? What you see is what we got tonight. Anyway, let's start it off with Jessica, KF7UHK.
Up here in Everett, where it was 61 degrees on a really beautiful day today, we went down to Federal Way, kind of a long way. We started off over in Monroe and went down some back road and 7KT. I didn't set it up correctly, but that's okay. We had a nice drive through the backwoods of the area. Ended up at our friend's house down there, and we all went to Ivar's and had some Ivar's food. That was very delicious. One of us was talking about the different things going wrong in our lives and at our house. Computer, you can always take it to the Geek Squad. I don't know how much they charge, but I took one of mine down there, and they fixed something for free, which was a fan that was like hanging up and not cooling down one of the chips inside, so it kept on giving me a blue screen. And they took it back in the back room, brought it back out, and said, "There, works now." I won't charge anything for it. And then they also told me how to eliminate a profile I left behind that was taking up all sorts of space on my computer. And they told me how to do that. And it was a slow process because it was a very slow computer, but it worked, and I was able to basically recover this my old Windows 7 machine, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. That's the old computer used to sit on this box that would make noise with a fan. I have to give it back. This can't 7UHK.
7UHK, thanks for that. Let's go to Port Angeles to Mr. Lee, N7KC.
Okay, am I in? Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, very good. Well, good evening, guys. Good to see you, all 5 of us, and I don't know who else is. Maybe Gary's out there. I don't know. I didn't hear Jessica. Didn't hear a darn word that Jessica said, and I don't know why. Because Dave, I heard you and so forth. So, I don't know. And at first I thought I had a problem, but then I heard Dave finally, and then I seem to be getting in, so I don't know. Okay, nice day here. Oh my goodness, a beautiful, beautiful day in Port Angeles. And today was Armed Forces Appreciation Day at the airport. And so it was a nice event. Well attended, lots and lots of airplanes, and lots of displays with the various Coast Guard and the sheriffs and on and on and on. And the local radio control club had a setup at the east end of the airport, and then they were giving helicopter rides free to anybody that wanted one, and so forth. There was a Apache gunship there. There was a Huey, the Life Flight helicopters and fixed wings, and all the stuff. Jeepers, there's just a lot, and everybody was really enjoying it. And the number of people that were flying in for this was just phenomenal. I never seen an airport so busy. Just in and out and in and out, you know, and so forth. It was a lot of fun. And when we left there, we went out to one to Granny's, and I had a milkshake or a malt. And they're well known for their cones and their malt. You know, it's a famous place locally. They're just a few miles from Crescent Lake Crescent. And then we found out that the Piedmont Joyce Road was open, and that's once been closed for months because there was a slide up along the lake. So we were able to take that up to 112, and it comes out in Joyce. And then it turns out that the guy on our weather net in the morning here belongs to the Greens there, and they were having a big day-long garage sale of sorts. So I never met him in person, and I'm just out of time. I'll go a few seconds longer. Anyway, so it was a good time, and we got back home and had some dinner, and I was pooped and took a nap, and that's pretty much my day. Anyway, N7KC, good to see y'all. Back to you, Dave. Go ahead.
N7KC, thanks for that. Let's go to Richard in Kent, K7ITX.
Let me just, first of all, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, so let me just get cut right to the chase, Lee. You couldn't hear Jessica because she's using the wrong PL tone. She should be using 103.5. She didn't know that we switched, so that we would be on the Cougar Mountain repeater and not have the static crashes all the time. So, and so Jessica, one reason why, maybe you know the story, Jessica, that, well, let's see, the story is Rob switched Echolink over to the Cougar Mountain repeater. And so, wherever the Echolink is switched to, we need to be on that particular repeater. Otherwise, Echolink can't hear the person talking when he's on Tiger Mountain. So, anyway, well, and you missed all the excitement, Jessica. Last Wednesday night it was real windy. Our Grandstream abilities, our YouTube abilities crashed towards the end of the net. I think the wind got the best of everything, but clearly everything got rebooted and it's back in service, and so that went good. Let's see, helicopter rides. Well, I had doing there a free helicopter ride at, I think it's called Capital Days, Capital Lake, Olympia, in the summer. They have the outboard limited, real tiny hydroplane races. Hydroplanes so small that you have to kneel on them. It's like a hydroplane. It's like you might as well just take your coffee table and use that with an outboard on it. I mean, they're that small. But anyway, I went for a helicopter ride at Capital Days, and oh my God, the pilot, well, it must have been his helicopter, and he was a Vietnam veteran, and he took us up in the helicopter as if we were really in Vietnam. I mean, he asked us if we liked a roller coaster ride. Of course, I said no, but the everyone else said yes. And so literally, it's the first time I've ever been in a helicopter. I didn't know they could almost fly upside down. But literally, or how about just fly totally perpendicular to the horizon? Or in other words, you know, when I'm looking out my side window, I expect to be able to look and see the horizon. I don't expect to see directly face down to the water and ground. It was incredible. Totally out of control, scary. The helicopter, when it's flying sideways like that, and you feel like, and then it's vibrating. You can tell the helicopter was not made to do this. Anyway, so I don't know if you bring up fond memories for me or nightmares, one or the other, but I can honestly attest to having one heck of a helicopter ride. With that, KD7ZYM, K7ATS, back to net control.
K7ITX, Richard, thanks for that. Let's go on to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, helicopter ride, yeah, I have worked with a number of fellows who flew helicopters for a number of years, and the majority of them say never again. It's like the helicopter's trying to beat you to death, at least. Okay, most of the guys I know flew the Hueys, so I don't know. I can't say if it's better or worse than typical, but those things definitely were not made to do aerobatics. There are some that can, and probably some that can't, and probably some that should not. As for me, the helicopter, the top of the engine mechanism, essentially, there's the rotor, and then on the very top of that rotor is a single nut which holds the rotor onto the rest of it, and they refer to that as the Jesus nut. And I am not desiring to fly in anything that has some part called a Jesus nut. Call me a chicken, but no thanks. Let's see. We were talking about the weather. I saw 71 on my thermometer earlier in the day. I did not get a reading as to whether or not that was a maximum or not, but I saw that. Beautiful day here. I've been running around a little bit. Yeah, computers. Actually, one of the things I did today, let me reset. I have a friend who had a stroke, and so today happened to be a hazardous waste day or whatever. So at a local high school here in the Covington area, they collected things like computers and monitors. So went to my friend's house and fetched two broken computers and a printer, and hauled that off to the disposal place. I don't know, I've got a couple computers here. You're tempting me, computer. They better watch out. That's all I got to say about that. Armed Forces Appreciation Day. Yeah, today at Boeing Field, they were flying a B-29 around. They were offering rides to some people. I know the rides were all sold out, and then some people get to walk through the thing for some nominal fee. I'm not sure what it is, $10 or something maybe. But I didn't make it to that. I believe that's still going on tomorrow as well. But so yeah, lots going on. And let's see, what else can I mention? I have no 1.2 gigahertz now. Don't know exactly what happened there, but just FYI. I don't know if you're seeing anything, Dave. I'm not sure if you know. Okay, and I'm not sure if you normally do. But anyway, back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
N7QO, oh my. Here in Lake City, I've got 64 degrees on the thermometer. It's been a nice, warm, beautiful day. And then yesterday, I decided to get the smoker out, and I smoked a 14-pound ham. It took 4 hours, and oh my, it was good. Smoking session, it took me only about 45 minutes. Then after that, you cover the ham up and let it cook. Otherwise, it gets way too smoky if you continue on smoking. And went over to my daughter's house and got a to-do on that it worked very well. They enjoyed the ham very much. And talking about helicopters, I was thinking some of the things that I ran into when I was at Como. We're on a helicopter and on a joining ridge covering Mount St. Helens, and the helicopter wouldn't start after we did our live broadcast. So the pilot gave me a punk, and I had to climb up on top of the body of the helicopter and open this little door and unscrew a little round thing and opening like a cap on a thermos, and then stick the punk in there that was smoking, and all of a sudden it started after a little action with the pilot. So that was nice to get up and going. So that was probably the scariest thing I had, of being stranded in the middle of nowhere without a lot of communications going on. And then another one was when some of the submarines came in early on. We were up in a helicopter and doing a live shot, and the talent was talking on camera, and I was in the back, and the helicopter had to turn around in the air, and all of a sudden we got hit with our own top wash, and we dropped about 1,000 feet, and then the chopper leveled off when we were doing this live shot. It was very interesting to see the face of the reporter as we were going down and then stabilized. So things do happen. And that's about it here from wonderful Lake City. So let's go back up to the top of the list with Jessica, KF7UHK.
I'd like to see if my PL tone worked out. At least Lee can hear me, so that's good. I don't know about anybody else, but let's see. Smoked ham, that sounds good. We once bought a Groupon to go take a introductory flight on a little it was a 44 helicopter. I can't remember what the name was, but it's a common one because I know my flight simulator has a 44. And myself, Sylvia, and another friend went on this little introductory flight. It was only about 50 minutes long, and it went around through Seattle and past Bill Gates' house and past the Space Needle. And the guy who was doing the flying was just professional, and he was also a good narrator of things in Seattle you can see from the air. And we talked about things like, well, we had asked him questions, because he said you can ask us anything you want. So we asked him things like, so if right about now you had to drop out of the sky and go, where would you go? He'd point down somewhere in a field, so I'd go right to that field right there. And then he'd go back to his normal dribble about what was in Seattle. It was a fun flight. Let's see, on buses, the front closest seat to the driver is typically called the confessional, because people will sit up there and try to talk to you while you're supposed to be driving and not talking to anybody, but they'll come up and sit in the confessional box. And so I thought about that when I heard about the Jesus nut. So that was my connection to that. Let's see. I think that's about it right now. Oh, cable TV. If you have problems with your cable TV, call your provider. You're paying them big bucks for your cable TV. It probably won't help any, but there you go. That's
KF7UHK, let's go to Lee, N7KC in Port Angeles.
Okay, I got permission to push the button, so there we go. Here's 7KC Lee in Port Angeles. Well, the ham sounds really good, Dave. I'll tell you that. Richard, your pilot was the pilot here today then. Well, I watched this guy, and I thought he was extremely aggressive with that machine. When he would take off, they would stuff some people in that thing, and it was moderate size. I don't know what it was. I don't know I don't know any airplane very well. But anyway, they put several people in it, and then he would go up, and he would back, and then he would roll. He would on the vertical axis, and it would come around, and then he would head west down the inside of the runway. It tipped up really, really high like that, tipped up and going very fast, and then all of a sudden, when he was away from the crowd, it would raise up, and then he would swing it so that the thing tipped over to port. It wasn't like you could have looked straight down to the ground, but it was really a steep angle, and the machine had ample power to do all this with several people in it and its weight and everything. And then up he would go, and then down, and when he would come in after their little tour, they'd disappear and they'd be gone 10 minutes or something, and they'd be back. He did this over and over. He's obviously very skilled because he pulled it off with precision. But when he came in to set the thing down, he's coming down just normal, flying straight. Then he goes sideways, they're flying sideways, and then he stops it, it flings out, and then he sets it right down on the ground. Man, the people inside that airplane are getting a real, that's a heck of a ride. And it just sounds like the guy that you had, I mean, he just was so comfortable with that thing and all that, So it's quite a skill. And normally helicopters are governors, they bring them up to the RPM they're supposed to be at. And then from that point, they just control it with collective and cyclic, But the engine, everything runs at the same speed. I don't think you could pull this stuff off with the rotor going at just the same speed. I think he was, modulating the power to it too to do that. I just don't know. Anyway, I'm out of time. It was fascinating to watch. And I watched him over and over and over do that. Just exactly the same every time with precision. So I guess they were in pretty good shape. Anyway, it's 7KC. Back to you, Dave.
N7KC, let's go to Richard and Kent, K7ITX.
I watched the helicopter, the pilot, and I saw him take people out for a while. So, I had enough time to know what I was getting into. I'm kind of a daredevil anyway, so even though I say I don't like roller coasters, I think maybe deep down inside I do. I'd always wanted to ride in a helicopter. That was the problem. I'd never been in a helicopter. Been a lot of fixed wings and watercraft, but not a helicopter, so I just wasn't going to pass this up. And I'm glad I didn't. And boy, Lee, it does sound like the same guy. It really does. And it wasn't your normal military helicopter. It was more something like it's almost like, the whirlybirds or something, I mean, it was, maybe I have no idea. It just, it definitely was not a Huey, let me put it that way, but maybe the civilian version of the Huey. I guess maybe I could say that. So Lee, before you got here, Bert said hi to us. He made it to, I guess, I want to say North Carolina on a vacation. So it was 11 o'clock there. He was was pretty tired, bushed. He said it was hotter than heck. He was in his t-shirt and he was ready to crash. So we said goodnight, and he looked like he was about ready to turn out the lights and go to bed. So, and that's pretty cool, Jessica. The confessional. You know, you got the Jesus nut and you got the confessional in the bus. That's, I mean, you know, who thinks of these things? I mean, it's pretty weird. So I'm happy to hear you tonight, Jessica. I'm always curious about any side stories that you might have. Usually do. Whether it's appropriate to share them over the air or after that, I don't know. But I really enjoy your comments on that. So with that, KD7ZYM, K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that, Richard. Let's go on to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, yeah, my wife has this really cool little thing. It's a confessional. I'll try to get it from her and show it on the next net. It's kind of funny. I don't want to. I don't remember exactly what it does, but it'll be a good thing for show and tell. Yeah, helicopter, that one, that 44, that's a Robinson. Yeah, it's very common, and good airplane. Let's see. That fellow, I don't know, maybe some people have this attitude that, by golly, if you paid for a ride, you're going to get a ride. And I don't know, there's something to be said for that, but I'm in the camp where I don't like to stress anything. If you're doing all these herky-jerky moves and exerting G-load on the airframe, if you tempt fate too often, sooner or later something bad is going to happen. Although I know people who've done that sort of thing for their whole lives and nothing bad happens. So I don't know, but that's just my attitude. Let's see, what else can I say here? Oh, I know. Reset. Saw something on the news today which I thought was absolutely hilarious. There's a water tank down in, I think it's Arkansas, and there's a silhouette of a man painted on the side of it. I'm pretty sure it's a silhouette of Johnny Cash, and some bubba took a rifle and shot a hole in the crotch area of this silhouette, and this water tank is leaking water, and they say it's leaking approximately 30,000 gallons every day that the thing is going. So they're constantly trying to keep the tank full, but I just thought that was hilarious. Somehow I would bet alcohol was involved. I don't know. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
Thanks for that. This is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City, and probably should get an ID in here. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. Again, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, you were talking about that B-29 coming in for rides a number of years ago. Oh gosh, I go back about 25 years. They had a B-29 that came in for a show and tell at Boeing Field, and got to go up on a publicity flight with that for television news, and we were up for about a half hour, but the most dramatic was sitting up front in the greenhouse on that with the big bubble in the front. It was just like you were sort of suspended like in the front of a helicopter. And you just had practically 360 degrees view, well, at least 180 left to right, and probably the same going up and down, so you really could see well. So anyway, they showed us where the bombardier was set, and then they had the area on the side where they had a gunner mounted, and the reporter had a lot of fun with that, playing the electric swivel for that machine gun or whatever it was. So we had a picture of that, and then integrated with some stuff from World War II. So anyway, the reporter was living his life over again. So anyway, like I say, it was a fantastic experience if you can go up in it and see part of the history that won the war. So with that, let's go back up to Jessica, KF7UHK.
That's all I can say. Let's see, yeah, exactly, it was Robinson 44. Bus training, I'm still in bus training, Richard. However, our last couple of days that we've been driving on routes, and we'll drive ops to a normal route, so people won't get confused if we go zooming by there and we don't get in the way of the actual buses that are on the route that we're shadowing. But the teacher, I like to call him the boss, our trainer, he plays a passenger, and so he'll get off on the back door. He'll request a stop. We'll stop at one of the stops that he's requesting, and he'll get off on the back door, and then come down on the front door, and then do little scenarios with us. Either act like an angry customer, or make sure that we say things like, or maybe he'll walk all the way to the very back and not sit down right away, and then if you move the bus before he sits down, he's like, don't be moving the bus, but someone's still standing. So we're getting immersive training along with all the other stuff that we're getting, which is really good. And then if either one of us makes a mistake once, he likes to send us on the route that we've made the mistake on, or else similar routes. Like when you come to a railroad crossing, you must turn on the emergency flashers, and then you come up to the last line before the railroad tracks. You open the doors, you close the doors, and then you go across the tracks, and then you turn the emergency flashes off after your dualies on the back cross the railroad tracks. Well, if you don't do anything on that perfectly, he will have you do it again and again and again and again and again in other places. So he knows all the routes with all the railroad tracks, and I seem to get a lot of those. So immersive training is how it works, and I like it for it because it's the way you learn is doing it over and over. PMP, practice makes perfect, is my new saying that to myself. So we're having a good time doing this and making money at the same time. With that, I'm going to pass it back at 34 minutes after the hour. KF7UHK.
7UHK. Let's go to Lee, N7KC.
Okay, N7KC, Lee in Port Angeles. Well, Jessica, I don't know what a bus like that costs, what the initial cost is, but it's high. And so you're really in charge of quite a, it's a financial responsibility in a way, Of course it's insured, but still, the fastest way to lose your job as a bus driver is to stack it up somehow. So I'm with you. Caution and practice makes perfect. Anyway, very good. The helicopter stories are fun. I'll tell you what they did have there, though. They had an Apache gunship, and it was the first time I have ever, they didn't want you to touch it or anything, but you could walk right up to it. And I'm telling you, it had a cannon down below the front that was obviously could be controlled from inside the cockpit. Had this great big forward-looking infrared system on the front of it on a gimbal of some kind where they can, rotate it and point it. And then it had 4 rocket launchers on each side, and then it has on each side, it had barrel-looking things that have multiple holes in them. And I don't know exactly what that is, but it probably, I don't know if it fires some kind of a rocket. So anyway, it had a considerable firepower just looking out there. It is just a snarling, ugly, mean-looking machine, you know. Anyway, I walked all the way around that and looked at that, and I thought, oh my gosh, you know. What we have put together to destroy one another is just flat out amazing. Anyway, that's really all I've got from here, I guess. I'm getting about out of time anyway, Dave, so back to you. N7KC, Lee in Port Angeles.
KC, thanks for that. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
Comes around fast, but I don't know, you guys keep reminding me of things. Now, I'm sure it wasn't the B-29, but another World War II era fixed-wing multi-engine warbird. I recall flying over Elliott Bay, and in fact, I think it was some retired Boeing workers, World War II veterans had refurbished this plane, and flying it over Elliott Bay and making some low passes, and they ran out of fuel. And they ran out of fuel just as they were doing a kind of a parade approach to all the people at Salty's restaurant at Alki. In fact, I remember some of the people, you know, stood up and watched as this big aircraft skimming the water coming straight at the restaurant, to the point where people started thinking, hey, I guess they started jumping out of the way or whatever, but anyway, the plane did a belly flop and did a landing right in the water in front of Salty's. I think this was about 10 years ago, I don't quite remember, but Salty's was one of my, I live in West Seattle, I love Salty's a lot, so I could just picture the experience. Well, the pandemic, I guess, is just about out of the way. I am looking forward to going to Salty's brunch, Sunday brunch. It's, I can't think of now that I'm cut back on blood sugar, or whatever you want to call that business, C-141 Starlister. I don't eat like I used to. Not in the old days. I mean, I go to Salty's and they had everything under the sun. You just eat for an hour and a half of everything. You know, whether it was an omelet, crab legs, chocolate mousse, omelet, bacon, and ham, and I mean, it just, oh brother. I don't know if my body can take it anymore. Can you send an ITX back to net control?
Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Dick, I don't know if maybe you can't take it, maybe I can't either, but I'd sure like to try. My feeling is I would get steak and eggs, hold the eggs, and maybe, you know, if they're only doing breakfast, a steak with hash browns or something, some kind of potatoes, I don't know. I'm sort of a steak and potatoes guy myself. As long as there's some decent coffee to wash it down with. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Dick, aircraft out of fuel. A number of us neighbors here would meet usually for lunch before the pandemic, and someone was talking about that several years ago. I don't remember what sort of aircraft it was or where it was exactly. exactly anymore, but some of the neighbors here knew all about that, and of course a number of people here work for Boeing. I'm not sure. There's a fellow across the street from me who's retired Boeing. He's 84, and there's another fellow, another fellow I know who actually died a few years ago. But someone knows about that. They know the people involved, and they can elaborate on the story. I don't know. That it seems to me that happened maybe more than 20 years ago. But yeah, it's anyway. There's a story as to how they happened to run out of fuel. So I don't remember what it was, but that was it. Let's see. Lee, I think what you were talking about, multiple barrels, was that on the very bottom of the helicopter? On a pivot arm that, no? Okay, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about there then. Reset. Let's see. Jessica, before I do that, Dave, thanks for that information about the B-29. Yeah, that's pretty cool. If someone hasn't gotten a tour of that would be worth doing. But halfway through your little speech there, Jessica put up this picture of the water tower with the fellow leaking out of the way. So if some of us began laughing, we weren't laughing at you. We just happened to see. Jessica, I don't know where you got that picture from, but that's great. You're going to have to put that up again. That was hilarious. Let's see. Jessica, that 141. Yeah, Chandler flew 141s way back when. That was a workhorse of the Air Force for a long time. The C-17s replaced those, but workhorse for a number of years. KD7ZYM and 7QO.
7QO, again, this is Dave, KD7CYM. Talking about helicopters, the day that Mount St. Helens blew, the company chartered a Hughes 500 chopper, sort of like teardrop configuration to the cockpit in the back of the end of the helicopter. And the reason for the Hughes 500 is it's rated for high altitude. And so we were going to decided to do a live shot, and so they took the doors off on both sides of the helicopter, where I had a camera on one side and my companion had a handheld transmitter on 2 gigahertz and transmitted back to Capitol Peak, where we had a relay station, and we had aerial shots. But I will say, with the doors off and you're up at about 6,000 feet, it's pretty chilly up there with the doors off. So anyway, it was always nice when we came back down after doing the live shot, but it was really interesting to see what we could see, the lightning and the smoke and the eruption that was going on, and all of the wonderful things that went with that event. So it was like being in the driver's seat, getting a first-class view. So that's about it for me. This is Dave, KD7CYM. So let's go back up to Jessica, KF7UHK.
As a kid with 5 brothers and sisters, our family would go up to Deception Pass Cranberry Lake Campground yearly to go spend about a week or so in the campground. And one of the things my dad loved to do is take us down to the beach at night, and we'd watch the C-141's Starlifters, like doing sorties or something over the Naval was always kind of fun. Let's see. And last thing is this next weekend, was a little ways back when I went and did this little laser show at one of my friends' musical shows. We won a raffle to a 2-night stay in somebody's yurt up in Monroe. So we went and scoped that out today, and so I think Sylvia bought the ticket, and she bought the golden winning ticket for that 2-night stay. And so we're all planning on that. We're going to go up to this next Saturday at like 2 o'clock. They said they'd have the fire already going in the fireplace and all very nice and warmed up. And we went and checked out where it was today. And it's way up in the mountains. It's really cool. So we can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Got to figure out what we're going to bring with us to make it a memorable weekend. Maybe a keyboard, maybe a guitar, and maybe a take and bake pizza from Papa Murphy's for the weekend. Sounds like what we might just do. So that's kind of cool. It is 47 minutes after the hour. This is KM7 UHK.
7 UHK. Let's go to Lee, N7 KC.
Okay, things are cooking here. Testing 1, 2, 3. It's 7KC, Lee in Port Angeles. Yeah, Jim, those things were on struts that stuck out from either side of the fuselage. Sort of forward a little bit. They weren't right in the mid-aircraft, but slightly forward. And it was the same assembly that the rocket launchers used. I guess it's an air-to-surface rocket. Anyway, this thing would handle 4 of those. So it would have a total of 8 of those rockets. And then a little bit further out was something that looked like a 35-gallon drum with, on the circular end of the thing. I mean, it had, I didn't count them, but there must have been at least a dozen holes back in this thing, so I don't know, they must load something in there, I don't know what. And then there was a single cannon, in fact there you can see them, Jessica, see them out there on that round thing with the array of what appear to be holes, and then that other thing there was the rocket launcher, the one that's inboard to that. And then down underneath that floor assembly there was it was a cannon. There you can see it right there, just by her shoulder. And it was a single barrel thing, and I'm sure that they could joystick control that from inside that. And there were 2 guys. There were 2 seats, one above the other, and one behind. And it looked to me like maybe, just looking at it, looked like maybe the pilot sat in the higher seat. And I thought maybe the guy who ran all the guns and the firepower was in the front. And then some other guy there told me that those things hold 4 people. Well, I don't know where they would put them because there's a big engine back there behind where it was. But anyway, they would have been able to be able to see anything. That would be a nightmare. Anyway, that is one frightening machine, I'll tell you, Well, if you're on the business end of that, you're in trouble. Anyway, okay, out of time. Dave, back to you. This is 7KC in Port Angeles.
Let's go to K7 next.
That's a very scary looking flying machine. That looks like something that would come right out of Whidbey Island, actually, Oak Harbor. But I don't know. In fact, it reminds me of being on a houseboat on the Columbia River by, just directly down from the Gorge Amphitheater. I remember camping out in a houseboat down there. But every once in a while, one of those, it wasn't the helicopter. Oh, okay, I'm getting my birds mixed up. through there. It would be a jet that kind of looks, yeah, the Warthog kind of has that looks of a helicopter, but it just sounds awfully horrific noise that it makes, just coming screaming through the gorge, the Columbia River Canyon. I mean, all of those military aircraft, being at the customer receiving end, no way. I can see why people, the tribesmen of Afghanistan or Iraq or anybody that ever fought battles against our military, I can see why they don't like us very much. And I don't see how you could ever forget having to deal with that kind of hardware. So I just wasn't part of it growing up in life. 1971, when I graduated from high school, I got several calls from Fort Lewis. They wanted me to join the Army band. But 1971, the Vietnam War was very hot and heavy. People were getting drafted left and right. You kind of, at my age, had to make a choice. Either you went into the military or you went to college. There was just one way or the other. And I went the college route, and I guess I was able to live to tell about it. So, but thank God for the people that do defend our country. I have so much respect for our veterans, and I just thank God they were there when we and I needed them. And so my hat's off to them. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So, wow, I don't know if it's going to make it around again. It might. 7 minutes to go, and between the five of us, I think we've done a great job, and it's been a lot of fun. It's gone without a glitch, really, other than just getting Jessica up to speed on the right TL tone. I like this, being able to hear everybody without tons and tons of static. I'm really enjoying the audio is a little bit different, but anyway, 73 K7ITX, back to net control.
ATX, let's go on to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, let's see. Hughes 500. Yeah, there was a fellow, one of my neighbors actually had one of those. I haven't seen it for a couple of years, so I think he sold it. They affectionately call it the egg. And he's a retired Alaska pilot. I think he flew helicopters back in Vietnam as well. But anyway, don't know the story of how exactly he got his hands on that, but he's been flying it around here for a while. Let's see, boats and airplanes. Jessica, everyone likes airplanes and boats. And that, yeah, thanks for the picture of those attack helicopters. That's definitely impressive. Yeah, I think if they had a few of those in Ukraine, that would make even shorter work of what's going on over there now. Man, things are crazy out there. And let's see. Comment for your trip, Jessica. Pizza? Yeah, pizza sounds good. As an alternative, or maybe something a little bit different from time to time, I'll take a few Subway sandwiches, or occasionally even Arby's. But I have to have a jar of supplemental barbecue sauce to pour on it sometimes. It works for me anyway. I just thought I'd throw that out there as a suggestion. I didn't intentionally mean to make you hungry right now, but well, what can we say? Life has its problems.
Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
QO, this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. Oh my, some of the military things we get to do in television news. I got to go up in a C-130 one weekend, and I wasn't too sure what it was all about. They wanted some volunteers, so I volunteered to go on the flight. And what it was they had a Jeep in the cargo area, and it was sitting on a pellet of cardboard with the corrugation not going flat, but straight up and down about 3 feet underneath the Jeep. And the concept was, at an air show, they were going to come down and snatch that out of the back of the C-130 and with a real low-level approach, like you're landing but don't land. That was kind of exciting. I was all tethered into this webbing in the back of the C-130, and all of a sudden it shot out, and the Jeep went down and snatched out. I watched it kind of bounce a little bit, but it didn't roll. But the surprise was the C-130 had these JTO-Assess rockets on the side, and so it was a demonstration of what happens when you add a whole bunch of power. And this thing just climbed straight up in the air when they fired those rockets. And that was, I was not expecting that to happen. It was just kind of hanging in the webbing as it went up and then finally leveled off. But that was another one of those wonderful experiences that you don't know what you're getting into, but you get into it. So, talk up another one for a career. Yeah, let's see, we got enough time to go up to Jessica to get a quickie here. KF7UHK.
Those are cool. We were at the hydroplane races a couple years ago, and they had a guy doing stunts with like a biplane, and it had a small turbine engine on the back of it. So this thing would go straight up with this rocket kind of engine on the back of it, and then it just do its normal loops and stuff with this normal engine. Every now and then turn the thing back on and back up in the sky. It was really something. We're trying to figure out how is it doing this. That's what it was. It had a little small turbine engine on the back of it that was making it go really fast and really high up. That's really neat. Otherwise, yeah, that helicopter's a scary machine. I think when I was making circuit boards, I think we made a circuit board, or at least part of a circuit board for this helicopter. And all I remember is it had a titanium framework that they put some kind of coolant. They wouldn't tell us what it was. It was proprietary, some kind of coolant through this framework to keep the circuit board cool, because whatever it was doing, it was thinking hard and fast and hot. And so it had to have this titanium framework that we built and put the circuit board into. So that was kind of cool. All right, it's like 60 degrees up here in Everett, and I'm going to say 73, KF7, UHK.
UHK, and it's time to terminate the net. I'd like to thank the owners and operators of WW7ATS repeater 14708, and that's compliments to the SeaTac Repeater Association for allowing us to use that repeater for our voice transmissions during our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, terminating the net at 9 o'clock. Good evening all.